In this video, let's look at an example of solving a radical equation with not one, but two separate radical expressions. I usually approach this by trying to isolate one radical expression at a time and then undoing that expression by raising both sides of the equation to the appropriate power. Let's start by isolating the more complicated looking expression. So I'm going to make sure that the square root of x minus 5 stays here on the left, and let's subtract the square root of x to move it to the right. So then I have root x minus 5 equals 5 minus root x. Well, we know that to undo a square root, we need to square it. So let's square both sides of this equation. But we want to be really careful here with the right side. The left side is just equivalent to x minus 5. But the right side is a binomial, and remember, we can't just square both terms in a binomial and get the final result. We actually have to multiply this out. So we multiply it out. I have x minus 5 equals 5 times 5 is 25. Then I have minus 5 root x minus another 5 root x, so that's minus 10 root x. Finally, we have plus square root of x times square root of x, which is square root of x squared is x. So I'm simplifying this as I do the multiplication here to save some time. Here's what our equation looks like now. We're trying to solve for x, so where can we go? Well, let's subtract x from both sides. Conveniently, that means these terms are now gone, and we only have x in one place. So I want to try to isolate this term, specifically this radical expression, here on the left side. I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. So I have negative 30 equals negative 10 root x. To undo the negative 10, we need to divide, since it is being multiplied by the square root of x. And then I have 3 equals the square root of x. So now this is finally looking simpler after a roundabout process. Let's just square both sides once again. 3 squared is 9. Square root of x squared is simply x. So I get 9 equals x, or x equals 9. Of course, we would want to check that by plugging it back in up here. So square root of 9 plus the square root of 9 minus 5, that's 4, equals 5. Is that true? Well, the square root of 9 is 3, square root of 4 is 2, and 3 plus 2 equals 5. So that checks out. That means we can accept this solution, x equals 9. So again, notice that we isolated one radical at a time. We isolated one radical, squared both sides, simplified terms by combining like terms, and then we isolated the second radical and squared both sides again to solve the equation.